Waiting council gets
Right.
more involved,
Um,
and maybe they'll.
so good evening, everybody. Nishant, our chair, is not able to make it tonight, so I'm just gonna lead through the meeting and our agenda. We will touch base on most of our business discussion early on because we do have WDPC coming in at 6 to give us a presentation. And Mike, can you hear me good on Zoom? I'm assuming that's yes. I know I see he's moving around. So I got roll call. We could jump to the May 1st minutes and see if there are any edits or things that you would like to discuss about. If they are okay, can I get a motion from someone?
I get a motion to approve May 1st minutes as written. And I had to go back and catch
And Mike, do you want to abstain from the May 1st minutes?
Excuse me, Sierra?
Are you abstaining from the May 1st minutes? Since you weren't present? Or
Oh, I was carrying, yes, I am, since I wasn't there.
No, it's there. For the new business is WBDC presentation, but that's at 6. So we would jump down to the business outreach update from commissioners. Does anybody want to get us started with any outreach they're doing, or I can get us started with some stuff that I got to you guys a little bit later.
I had no outreach.
Okay, okay, all right. Now, Mike, any outreach updates?
Not yet.
Not yet.
I'm away from Groton for the time being.
All right. So, you guys would notice in the meeting invite, there is that updated business outreach list that we are working from. It does have everyone's names assigned to it. We have about 30 businesses we're trying to reach out to. We will not be meeting in July, so let's try to use these next couple months leading up to our August 5th meeting to get with some of the people that we have identified on this list.
The list, so if you're missing folks off of this list. Like I don't see Friendly Tie on here.
So this isn't the list of everyone that was on here, but I could add Friendly Tie because I know you are actually actively engaged with them now. Yeah. Is there anybody else that you guys are already in discussions with that may not be on this list?
I see them. I'm not actively in discussions with them, but I Wishes Haircut doesn't seem to be on this list.
And who was the barbershop that you talked,
Danielle.
Danielle's, okay.
Wishes.
Oh, Danielle's is on here, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Oh, I gotta update instead of Matt, that's you. And you said Wisha isn't somebody that you're,
Wishes. I'm not talking to her actively, but she's not on the list, from what I can tell.
okay, do you want, so this was just our
Oh, I
focus point, or do you want to add it to the
can
list?
add her and I can take her. That's fine.
Contact, change a few names, and then I didn't get to the assigning these in Blue Dot. So you guys will also get the reminders for these with the August deadline in Blue Dot as well. Any other questions in regards to that? All right, so then moving on to the EDC grant program policies and procedures. So that we originally were planning to do that May 28th. I needed to get rescheduled because I was out of the office. So we are presenting that on June 10th. The council is going to get a clean copy, like the final version of what we did, but they will also get a copy of all the red lines that are there. I do believe Nishant and Jason may be there on the 10th to help with just the discussion. If anybody else wants to participate, you're more than welcome. I'll be following up with a Zoom link if you guys would like to participate that way for that specific meeting. Any questions in regards to the program policies and procedures revisions? So moving on to our EDC's programs for 2024. So ribbon cutting celebration is something that we've discussed. It's going to be geared towards the new restaurants, which are focused on food. We do have to kind of wait for some of the restaurants to get a few things underway. So we are planning for that to be sometime either late in the summer or early fall. So we'll just keep you guys abreast of how that's going on. And Margaret, you can keep me up to date on Friendly Time, whether or not she's able to be a part of that. The business meet and greet focus on funding opportunities. So that's kind of what leads to WBDC coming to present to us today. I figured it would be nice for us to kind of meet some of the new faces that are with these programs, get the debrief at our meetings, and then let that lead up to a more broader discussion community and businesses about just a networking engagement that we talked about. That will also be later in the year. Moving then on to our business spotlights on social. So we are, as you guys know, we did the Groton History Making brand. We're starting to do the rollout of that. So we will be working with the mayor's assistant, Jackie Nardell, on a social media campaign. We will get the content for the business highlights and work with her on getting everything posted onto the Facebook. So in addition to our outreach stuff, we'll start to engage them on what that spotlight information will be. We have like some general questions that we do for the outreach that I actually do need to send out that update, but maybe we can do like a draft email of what that business spotlight information will contain, and then we can just via email kind of go back and forth of what that actually looks like for our content wise. Okay. Any questions thus far? And then for the brew run, working with Cameron on that update. Cameron already sent me the information for all the updated businesses. So on that information, there'll be restaurants, the package stores, and then obviously like Outer Lake. So we have an update of all that information. I think there's one phone number we're missing, but it's our applicant, so I'll make sure I'll get that updated. And so over these next couple of weeks, I will also be emailing you drafts of that design so that we can hash out the details of that and get that ASAP. The other thing as part of the outreach is if any businesses want to incorporate anything in the bags for the brew run. Anywhere, I don't have a definite number, but it's anywhere between 300 and 500 quantities of little things, whether it's business cards, menu flyers, or whether they just have like a marketing thing and they want to be fancy and throw the little trinkets in there or anything. We are open to all that good stuff. Any questions in regards to our programming? Oh, thus far, and I did forget to put on here the fundraising cruise with the Thames River Heritage Park. They are starting to book those. I'm working with Catherine Foley over there to get some schedules and figure out who our speakers may potentially be highlighting, just like projects or sites. I know we talked about doing like a happy hour again to support historic sites, but we may just be able to pull a crowd, to be able to pull certain speakers to talk about on the booth on specific projects and things that are related to the city. So as that develops more, I will definitely guys informed how that will move forward. Any other questions? Or should I ask questions? Any questions? All right, so moving on to the staff report. So for the Economic Development Grant Program, last month we approved T-MAK Bodega's application. Once again, that was supposed to go before the commission on May 28th, but since that had to get rescheduled, so it's going to be presented on the 10th. And we already did that approval process, so just wanted to give you that update. And then in regards to the Children Riverfront Center, so I was able to touch base with the applicant, and they would like to wait until after the fiscal year to make that full application, so they can request the full amount. So we will hear them in August.
After all that time we spent talking about how to divide up dollars and cents across fiscal year boundaries. So what does that mean for us? How much will we leave on the table for the end of current
A
fiscal
little
year?
over 1,200.
Okay, so we just have enough time for maybe applicant.
Essentially, that will require us to hold a special meeting before June 24th. If there is any applicants.
So we'll already start the morning at $1,200 left there.
I had my chance to process it. Yes, so that is the update there, but then July starts a whole fresh new year. I know there are a couple of businesses that definitely are interested and have projects in the works. Nobody has necessarily submitted. I'm not in a process where I'm working with somebody through application, so no submitted applications outside of Riverfront at this time. So we can get those coming in. That would be great. Any other questions in regards to the grants? All right, report on development in the city of Groton. So I do not have a specific project in mind, but I do want, as always, to keep you guys abreast that the Planning and Zoning Commission is doing, working on the rewrite of the regulations for the Bridge Street Gateway area. So that is still in the works. They are holding a couple regular meetings and special meetings to kind of get through this process. And Jason, I don't know if there's anything that you want to chime in on in regards to that, or
Sure, yeah, I mean, it's been about 18 months in the making, and a few rounds of public hearings, and you know, one proposed set of regulations that we pulled back to do some maintenance on. So we're planning and zoning is probably within a month or two of going back to the public hearing process to vet another edition of proposed regulation changes for that area. That area basically begins Broad Street and Thames, heading north as Thames then becomes Bridge, all the way over to basically where gosh, what's the cross street there? Almost where the EV facility is on Kings Highway.
yes.
So it'll be broken up into several zones with their own particular restrictions. But the goal is to decrease the number of dwelling units possible and the potential for mixed use development in that whole arc in the city.
Thank you, Betty. Any questions in regards to that? All right. Sorry. For communications then, we do have the advanced CT updated their Groton profiles. So I do have a couple extra copies. And that's what got your computers.
May I say something? Can we go back and may I say something? I meant so regarding development in the city, actually, Daggett came to the council and spoke and introduced her to the council. She is the owner that has purchased the properties at Five Corners. And then will purchase the and has also purchased the 2 properties behind at Mariani Court. And they're going to basically gut them all and rebuild them. And then they'll be putting them out as rental properties. So that's also good news as far as economic development, because it gets us some more housing stock in the city, and it's going to help a lot. So I wanted to share that with this team because that's important.
And she maintained ownership of the building Subway is in as well.
Yes, so all those properties were there together. Chris West owned those, and I don't know what they're gonna do with Subway. Not 100% sure, but we did talk to her, and I've talked to her separately about there. If you go by, you can see major construction going on the rental, on those residential properties. They cleaned it up. They're gonna clean that area up, and then on Mariani Court, which is right behind that, there are 2 properties there that are gonna do the same thing. Sorry, thank you, my apologies.
No, it's
No, I think I like the building.
Yeah.
Right, so Brandon, can I turn it over to you for? Okay.
So these town profiles are produced by Advanced CT. I saw them through my work and I thought that the Groton one was particularly interesting. The Groton one is combined with the town, so it has city and town information. But I still think it'd be valuable for us. It gives us a good insight of some of the economy and general demographics of the town that could be useful in kind of framing our conversations with businesses and potential businesses. You know, businesses are gonna do the legwork themselves as to what they want to do and what their demographic they're looking for is. But I think it's useful for us as a commission to show that we are also knowledgeable about that information we're talking about them. So I just thought that this was something useful for us to be able to look at, especially if any businesses or something has a question about.
So it's not surprising that manufacturing is our #1 top industry here, followed shortly by government, accommodations, healthcare, and then retail trade. What was that? I haven't noticed something.
I thought the key employers was also interesting, considering 2 of the 5 of them are located in the city.
Yep. It is nice to note that our largest population group is between ages 20 and 29. Definitely just good to know general outreach. and everything there.
That's for the whole town, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that includes the military population.
sure, yeah. Yeah.
Does it include military?
Yeah.
Housing statistics for the.
Oh, yeah, there you
town.
go. US sub bases there.
I was a little upset that there wasn't a Groton City specific one, but it makes sense. And I figured that, you know, when a business moves into the city, they're not just going for city demographics, they're also going for the town as well, their business within the town also, so.
And I'm about to say that does help with the median household income for it to be looked at Groton wide rather than just our sections. I do like that our unemployment rate in Groton is low.
Yeah.
In comparison to. everything we've done. The commuting mode, so that's one thing I thought was really interesting from this. As I know, we're not surprised, 80% of our workforce commutes. But we are actively, as you guys know, working on that walking and cycling piece. But it is interesting that for walking and cycling, we are actually above the state. So it's 3% for the state, but we have more walkers and bikers.
Hello. I have a question. I see language spoken at home, there's only English and Spanish, is there like others that they make?
Oh, I
There
don't know.
must be, because that doesn't add up to 100%. They just didn't include them in the draft, I guess.
That would be nice to know.
But it's interesting. Like,
It's 19% of the county. In Groton.
We can see what, we can reach out to the NCT and see if they can share the data. That's okay. That question.
Well, I have a comment if I may.
Mhm.
So there's some additional information that's probably important to you guys that I don't see captured on here. But the city is unique in that our rental population, if you look at rentals versus ownership, our rental population is around 67%.
Great.
And then that leaves us with the 33% for residents. If you look at everybody else, ownership, everybody else in the state of Connecticut, it's reversed. So we're in a unique situation with the rentals. I've been trying to figure out from the mayor's point of view, what to do with that information, because I do think that's important. The other thing that we don't necessarily know, one is what is percent occupancy, and two, what is turnover, because that is something that's important. One other thing, if you look at the housing, is you look at the median rents, our median rents are higher than the median for the state. We've seen that recently. And part of that is due to the gentrification that's going on, and that is happening because in the city and in the town, there's a resistance to support building of properties, of residences. We don't have enough places to put people. We don't have housing. We don't have the housing stock. We don't have apartments, condos, any of that. And that's why it's important that we continue to push to try to get regulations changed in the city and in the town so that we can get more housing stock built. Because one thing that has come across my desk is that in the next 3 to 5 years, electric boat is going to be expanding by 2,000 to 3,000 people, maybe even more than that. And so with that, there's a need for housing. There's also one of the things that I'm working on now, and have been for several years, is the parking situation in the city of Groton and how that impacts residents and businesses and everything else. So that's just some additional information that's not on here that might be interesting to this body.
I think it's interesting how much parking comes up in our meeting discussion, so we actually may end up having to follow up and do some more discussion, but that can be at another.
If you decide to talk about parking, let me know. Currently, the Public Safety Committee, which Mayor Depot is the chair, is we just revised an ordinance parking, but they're also looking at what streets we're gonna make residential only. What my goal is basically to put a pin in the 10-story building, that's the big silver building on the waterfront, and then draw a half-mile arc. And everything within a half mile, which is reasonable walking distance, now becomes resident or residential parking, or actually it'll be residential parking, with the exception of those areas in the commercial area that there'll be carve-outs for the businesses. And then that'll be either sticker or placard controlled. And then if you're parked there and you don't have authorization, it's gonna be ticket, boot, tow kind of thing to try to get our arms around the parking situation and to help influence and encourage electric boat to address the parking situation. Now, they talked to me about a couple different things. They're looking at trying to get seat schedules. They're also looking at their own bus schedules with nodes outside, or actually outside parking, and then bringing people in. A lot of people don't want to commute. That's not true. A lot of people don't want a mass transit in because they lose autonomy on when they can leave. But we do have, the good news is electric boats in our backyard. The bad news is electric boats in our backyard. So we have parking issues, we have speeding issues, we have pedestrian issues during when at 2:30 when shift changes and those kind of things. And we are working independently and with Electric Boat, try to resolve those issues. Or at least to try to mitigate those issues. And other things, when I've found, for example, EB Now is working with Pfizer to lease some spaces, because I found out through my deals with Pfizer, they had excess capacity. So I got the two people together, they need to talk about it, and now they're working with that. There's other spaces that you can lease in order to help alleviate some of the parking.
And then for the committee that you're working on, is there a time
So
line that you're working with for the parking? stuff?
we just, the police chief's assistant just created a survey on SurveyMonkey
Okay,
that we're gonna put out to the public to answer, and it's gonna have questions like, you know, what street do you live on? Do you think your street needs more resident parking? Do you have off-street parking? Because we held a meeting open to the public, we publicized it as much as we could, and we had, I think, 2 people show up. So I asked them to put together a survey to try to get some more feedback.
okay.
We are, I think, not meeting, what was it, June? I think we're not meeting June,
July.
so we're meeting in July. And hopefully by that time, we'll get some feedback from that survey and then decide for an August council meeting maybe. On what those rules are gonna be for parking.
Right.
I think that's the time, we kind of wanted to get it done before September was our thought.
Okay,
We would like to get started on that. Right now, I am not planning on having a public hearing, if you will. And the reason being is my past experience here as a mayor is that people just don't come out. And we've, all of our meetings, all the council meetings, all of the committee meetings are public meetings and open meetings. And for example, for the public safety committee, the chair can allow comment, can allow people to speak, and she did.
And we pitched that kind of as a public hearing type meeting,
Right.
it's still public meetings.
Can the public hearings be like on social media live, like Facebook Live, Instagram and all of that? If there's like, they could write their comments in there. Like sometimes could be a daycare issue, like they don't have us, or, you know, they may not have someone to watch their children. Or it could be, you know.
we do typically offer hybrid things via Zoom. I don't think we've used the Instagram Live thing, or we'll air certain things on like
Months
YouTube.
ago, something was going on with Stonington, and I happened to be scrolling on Facebook. And they were having some kind of town council meeting, I'm not sure what it was. And I thought it was so cool because, you know, you just right there and people were chatting in the chat box. And I was like, that is pretty neat. So I don't know if that's an idea we could utilize, but.
I see the wheels turning. We'll ponder that a little bit.
We'll take it back and we'll
Yeah.
look at it. Take it another minute and talk about it.
And then
We
just
do
about
it
the
for
park,
committee of the whole, mayor and council meetings. For some of the major committees here. For example, we're on Zoom now, but we have not in the past extended Zoom meetings to public hearings or to council committee.
It's hard to send people on some of these on social media, and maybe you could just draw their attention with it as they're scrolling,
Sure.
so.
Mayor, we did have public participation via Zoom during the public hearings held by planning and zoning.
That is correct, you did. You had quite a few people. So it depends if it's my experience has been, and this is a little jaded maybe, but my experience has been, normally people don't care unless it's something that somebody posts them and says, here's a pitchfork, here's a torch, go to this meeting. And then they get stirred up and then they go to the meetings. But, week after week, we sit up there at the mayor and council and we look out to an empty audience. So when people do finally show up, it does get council attention, and it did get planning and zoning attention when you had comments, those kind of things. So
And you're right,
Jeff?
that is a little jaded.
Well, I promise you that, I mean, I recognize where I'm at.
Can I make one last comment on that?
On the outreach or the parking?
What we're talking about right now.
Okay, go ahead.
In my experience, most people don't think that their comments make a difference. I personally read and respond to all my emails, not every counselor does that in a timely manner. So I find that I, as an elected official, and I try to encourage anyone on a board or commission to encourage people to give feedback, because
Yes.
part of why the feedback doesn't, people think that is because no one's giving feedback. So it's kind of like a vicious cycle. So I just try to encourage people to, because if someone emailed me, I would take it the same as if they came to a meeting and made those comments.
Yeah.
To me, that's equal. But I don't think people think that. I don't think people believe that until they do it one time and get a response.
Totally agree with you.
So,
Yeah. I mean, you could have someone, again, like in charge of answering or just saying, you know, we see your, exactly. Yeah.
it's gonna take.
All right, so I did just want to circle back really quick on the parking survey information, and we'll ask the commission if, I know we're about to be doing the outreach. If you guys would be open to maybe getting a map of the focus area for where that parking is going to be, and also a copy of the link for the study. That way we could share that as part of our communication outreach. You guys
when-
all shaking yes heads here. I think Mike is in agreement.
When the survey comes out, please complete the survey for me.
Oh, but if you can email.
I will.
me
I'll
The
send it
survey
on
and like a map.
Facebook, and it'll have like all that stuff with it.
Okay, and if there's any language or anything that you would want us to
Yeah.
mesh within that conversation, that would be
Okay.
helpful.
I have a quick question. Do you know timeline wise when the survey will come out?
Juliet finished it today. So probably I'm hoping by the end of the week.
Okay.
I already approved, Chief and I already went over the questions for it and stuff and approved it, so I believe it's ready to go. It's just a matter of putting together the posts and putting it out on the website and social media.
Okay.
But my guess would be end of the week.
Thank you.
If it's not out by Friday, I'm gonna follow up, so.
And then I'll follow with you next week on that, just to make sure. Okay, so, all right, we're good on the parking. Are there any other questions in regards to advanced CT's portfolio?
Thank you for following that.
Yes, thank you, Cameron, for that. So then the
Submarine was not listed as a commute bus.
It is listed as a transportation. Yeah, it's manufacturing transportation.
Oh, sure.
And then the last thing in regards to communications is, so our July meeting is canceled. So you guys should have got the notification for that. So we will be meeting, I believe it is August 5th. And at that August 5th meeting, we will be discussing elections. So we do have those three positions, chair, vice chair, and secretary that we discuss. So please email me if you're interested. I am probably also going to be reaching out to a few people to see nice little nudges to see if you're interested as well. So
We're the
just-
current vice chair and secretary.
Matt's the secretary.
Yes. Ooh, I
thought you were one of the two.
Am I the vice chair?
think you might be the vice chair.
Because having
Double check that.
having freshly gone through the bylaws, I think by process, the vice chair should have been running this meeting. I couldn't even get to your email to find the agenda fast enough for me to get my feet under me to make that suggestion.
Had I realized I was the vice chair, I would have figured I'd do that. Guess I missed that meeting and the minutes.
So, yes. That is all I have for my staff report, and Aaron's not here, so we will not be doing the Groton utilities update. Commissioners, are there any general questions or things that we need to discuss before we move on to our WBDC presentation? No? All right, so without further ado, I'd like to welcome Laura and Susan up from WBDC. I'm gonna get another chair for you guys.
You can actually look face to face with it instead.
Sure.
No, I was inviting Gwen
And Susan, Oh.
You're more than welcome.
Where
if
do you
want.
want us here?
yeah,
Oh, I got you. Very good.
if you want, otherwise you're looking at the back of their heads.
That's true.
Been hanging out all day.
I know.
We had breakfast together.
Yes.
Am I gonna block it?
I'll just follow everyone.
Put your chair, then raise it
No, it's
forward.
Oh, I can tell where it is. Lighting, oops, I said that. You said, oh, I know, but which one now?
Switch things.
Okay.
It's like, make sure.
Different chair.
Yeah.
Chair.
Probably help edit, right? You never know.
Someone rolled it in here. It was here at our last meeting too.
Yeah, it was.
So, before we get started, and since this is a smaller group, I would just do a round of introductions, just so everybody familiarize themselves.
I'm just joining because I can't see through heads.
Gotcha. All right, so you're on. I'm talking here, so. For introductions, I'll start off with Laura, and then we'll go around and.
Sure. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having us. My name is Laura Blake and I am the program manager at WBC DC. BDC. Sounds like a radio station. I still struggle with it because
You did great this morning.
I did much better this morning. Now I'm tired, I guess. I'm relatively new, hence I can't even pronounce the name of my organization, but it's the Women's Business Development Council. And this is my colleague, Susan Hackett.
I'm program coordinator in the London office. And together, Laura and I, along with Linda, who runs our childcare program, we are the mighty three. We are all of Eastern Connecticut. And we work with anybody who wants our help.
Jason Rusk, several year member, Economic Development Council, and proud resident.
Whatever Depot and then the deputy mayor.
Margaret Hirsch, I'm also a member of the EDC for a few years now, and like I said, proud president of the city of Groton.
And evidently vice chair.
Yeah.
No. You just got promoted.
Amazing.
I'm Keith Edrick, I'm the mayor here, city here.
I'm Cameron James, I'm a 1-year member of the EDC now.
That was on this first year as well.
You guys all know me, but I will say, when I first started, I met Susan, from WBDC. And she's been instrumental in keeping me informed of things that are going on and engaged in the process. And so it's been years now, but I love that the relationship has continued to blossom in all these times. And thank you again for all of your support and introduction to the continuing team members that come on.
And to Susan's credit, this isn't the first time we've heard the initials WBDC. WBDC. Been part of the conversation for at least a few years.
And I'm Margarita, I'm a realtor, and I'm a proud Groton City resident.
And a client.
Yes.
Thank you so much for having us here.
Give you controls of.
Excellent.
May just have to give just this table.
Perfect.
Very well.
So, so I, wanted to, let me get started. I wanted to introduce our resources and what we do and how we can serve your community and hopefully, we can work together in that.
I'm also sorry, you just gotta scroll and look at PDF, sorry.
Okay, no problem. That's why Susan is my tech support as well. She's a friend, she's a lot of things. So, in terms of WBDC's mission,
I don't know if you've heard of us before, some of you have, but we are involved and committed to expanding entrepreneurial businesses and to ultimately help economic prosperity in the region. So started by our founder, who's still our CEO, Fran Pastori, back in 1997. We are 35 people approximately. We have a few open positions. We're roughly 40 of us across the state at this point. We have 4 locations, which I will show you some specifics on that. All women, but one very courageous man currently on staff. So that's always kind of fun. And we've really picked up in our Spanish speaking to provide services to our Spanish speaking communities. So Fran started this in 97 out of the Stamford office, which is our headquarters. And then by 2007, she was able to expand to New Haven. And then by 2018, the new London office was open, and Susan started shortly after that, right? So she's been involved right at the outset here for our Eastern region. And since then, Waterbury has opened up, and we are happy to announce that we just received the grant from SBA, which funds a lot of our work. And we are opening up an office in Hartford as well. So we're looking for more people to staff in that area in both of our positions to finish that out. So yeah, so we've really been very fortunate in that we used to work and operate very independently until COVID. And when COVID arrived and having to teach classes, obviously Zoom online, all of that kind of changed, and we pivoted our entire business model in terms of how we were delivering our services. We primarily deliver in the areas of education, financial and general business entrepreneurial, financing and grant funding, business one-on-one advising, somewhat like SCORE, but it's more of an advising capacity, not really a mentorship. And then obviously advocacy and outreach to really help expand businesses and work with even legislators in Hartford to help with ongoing issues related to business, small businesses, as well as women in business, as well as childcare issues, things of that nature. So just a few of the numbers since 97, as I said, I'm relatively new to the organization. I was so impressed when I saw these numbers. When you look at, client earned revenue of almost $700 million across the state, and we really haven't reached the statewide, that started in 2020. So that's only 4 years ago. As you can see, more than 14,000 businesses launched, more than 31,000 jobs created and retained, 57 million plus capital accessed, some of which are through our grants, but we also track and monitor to see how our grant recipients and clients will do, and will they go on to add and continue with their access to capital. So we provide a lot of the technical support for that as well. So that's the, since we started. Here's just what we did in the last year. It was our fastest growing year. However, we think even now we are doing a little bit better because we've just finished our numbers for the quarter. And we are actually in a couple of these figures, like clients served, we've already in the first quarter met 50% of that number in 2024. So our clients and our work is expanding very nicely. And same value in terms of, I checked some numbers for the first quarter, jobs created and retained, we're at a 50% level there too, just with our Q1. So we're pretty excited. We have a fabulous impact team, and they collect all this data, and then we're able to share and monitor, and it really does help support, our stakeholders really do want to support us as we move forward. So it's been
seeing that over 12,000 hours of classes and business advising that you're providing as well.
Yeah, and that we're not quite at the 50% mark there, but that number is up to, we're probably at 40%. I just looked at that earlier today. In terms of our demographics and what types of businesses we work with, obviously the established, emerging, and startup. We have classes, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that, but we work with anybody from pre-venture to businesses as much as $2 million in revenue and more, but and we do support male and female owned businesses in terms of our education, et cetera. For our grants though, because they are funded by the SBA, that requires 51% women-owned business in order to receive those. So as I said, the 4 pillars that we kind of focus on is the education piece, the grants and the technical assistance. We try to cultivate relationships and networking, as you, Margarita, right? Yes, I was going to say Marguerite, but so we had we hosted a nice networking event this morning. We do those across the state, and we offer either morning engagements or evening engagements, so that because we know entrepreneurs who are working on their own, it's nice for them to be able to get out, be together, talk, connect, and help each other. So that's a big piece to it. And then the advocation in terms of advocacy. We were just in Hartford for Women-Owned Business Day and speaking with legislators, as I said, trying to really help push some of the legislation to support our small business communities. So in terms of the education, group classes, we have these online, they're all Zoom, they're 1-hour courses. Most of our courses are free to our clients, as well as the one-on-one business advising. That's all free. They can set up a meeting for 30 minutes, 60-minute sessions with business advisors who are also or have also been entrepreneurs. Perhaps they're still managing and running their own business, plus they do this. They're all highly educated in the business field, very often with MBAs, if not even beyond that. And the group classes, again, we have the 1-hour sessions, and we often do very topical classes on that one. And then we also have multi-session classes, and I'll get into a little bit of that because they are associated with our grant program and our grant funding. We found that a really good recipe for success for our clients has been not just the monetary piece or capital piece, but combining that with the education and then the support so that they can actually, we feel we have better outcome successes. Again, the business advising, you can call and select an advisor based on their experience, whether it's in marketing, finance, general business concepts, tech support, things of that nature. We just started, with like, say, a QuickBooks class, which is now turned into a 3-part series, because if you've worked with QuickBooks, it's not going to be something you can pick up in that 1 hour. And our QuickBooks expert has now just offered up 1 hour, like open office hours. So our clients can just on 1 day a week can just go on, and she's got an open Zoom meeting going, and people can pop on, ask a quick question. So we constantly are trying to respond to the real needs of our clients, and they're really good about telling and sharing that with us, whether it's through our own surveying or sometimes these meetings and these appointments and things of that nature. So I'll tell you a little bit more about the multi-session classes as it's the very next slide. So couple of things. We have developed several multi-session courses. They are the only ones that we do charge a fee for. It's a relatively low fee. Our most expensive class is $249, I believe. $299, thank you. And we also do offer a scholarship for people who might need a little bit of support. We recognize that entrepreneurs may not be making a lot of money at the outset, so and we broke it down. These are some of our 1 hour classes, but we'll move into, so you can see some of the examples of the topics that we're trying to cover. When it comes to our series classes, and we also have a childcare division, And unfortunately, our program manager for the childcare division could not be there, but that was also formulated, was that formed before COVID?
No, it happened
In
during COVID when
response.
there was so little, when childcare centers were closing, there was such a need that the state stepped in with money and.
That's right. Actually, I think the governor actually called our CEO and said, can you and your organization help us kind of work and give the funds and the help, the PPC, was it? PPP. I'm really bad with acronyms and this organization. has a million of them. So it's been quite the orientation.
past 5 o'clock, so you can read these.
I mean, they even have a class that's an acronym, your bail team, banker, attorney, insurance, and legal. Basically, we recommend that you need to have a relationship with all these people if you're going to be starting a business. We recommend that these businesses make sure they have opened up a bank account that is separate and distinct so that they're not commingling their funds. A lot of business startups aren't doing those things, but when they come to us, we want to put them on that path for success and to really protect themselves. So these are some examples of the classes that we run, several throughout. I mean, we run classes all year long, at least 2 to 3 a month in a given category. And they're, obviously staggered throughout the day at different time parts, but we found that, the early morning, the lunchtime and the early evening are our most effective times. So,
But we also have the series classes, which are also operating at the same time, which may go anywhere from 3 to 9 weeks.
yes, so I thought I had a slide on that, but I'll just talk through that one. The series classes are related to our grants, and especially we have several tiers of grants. We have a Launchpad grant, which is $2,500 for very early emerging companies, less than 2 years old. And then we have a 10,000 grant that we will offer to companies that are 2 years or more, probably earning about 25K in revenue. Doesn't matter what their profit was, but they need to have had revenue over the past year for that. And we're piloting a new grant, $25,000. So we'll see how that works. That's a new donor who was very interested in that program. So we're starting with that. We have several classes in this series based on your or a client's needs. And what we do is when they register for a class, we interview with them to find out what they're looking for, and then we're able to point them in the right direction for the class. So there's one class for very early, we call it the business concept clinic. If you're really in a pre-venture situation, we recommend you take that class. If you are looking to really build your business, we have a business plan writing class that meets over the course of 9 sessions. And if you're looking really for marketing support, we have a marketing plan and writing class that we put together, and that's 7 sessions. When our clients take any of those 3 classes, and I'll talk about ASB, or you can talk about ASB if you'd like. When they take those classes, they are then able to apply for this $2,500 Launchpad grant. And really the only criteria is that they've attended all the sessions, they submitted all the work, they participate, and then they pitch their business to both an internal review group and then an external. There's some external people, so we can keep it, objective. And they are awarded their $2,500 grant. So that's a really fun situation. And it really, it shows them somebody believes in their product, their business, their service. It gets them started. And our process for the application mimics, but it's not as comprehensive, but it mimics a little bit what they would have to deal with if they had gone to a bank. So what we're doing is we're priming them a little bit. We ask for projections, we ask for some numbers. They're not comfortable sometimes, so that's why they work with our advisors to get through that piece. But it helps educate them so that hopefully when they want to access additional capital, they are in a better position to do so. So I think that's a wonderful element to it. Do you have a question?
And then for the Launchpad, startups are there, but even existing businesses can take advantage of that too, like if they just kind of need to get there.
If
Ducks
you're
in a
less
row.
than 2
Oh, less than
years,
2 years, okay.
still, yeah,
Gotcha,
so
gotcha.
that's really the only criteria. So. We build community, we try to host events in terms of the networking events that we talked about. We have Women's Own Business Day. We had our 10th anniversary of that in Hartford. That started many years ago. And then we have an annual event where we invite, and probably 1,000 people have attended.
Yeah, we usually max out at about 700.
Mhm.
A lot of corporate sponsors and donors, kind of, that's our big fundraising gala that we have at the end of October every year.
And a lot of our clients attend, and then they are awarded, best business, those kinds of things. So it's a really, really lovely event that happens in the fall. So we also have a business directory online of all of our clients so that they can share information, they can use each other for resources, et cetera. So we continue to try to think of other ways to do so, and we're always open to ideas, et cetera. Childcare business services. Now, this is where my colleague Linda would come and talk to you about the dearth of childcare in the area and how she and her team are working on it. It's a separate team. They actually fund even more so than we do. They're probably funding 2/3 of what we have funded as an overall organization. So that's why they have their own division. And they are, they're visiting sites and helping women start up their daycares, whether it's facilities or in-home scenarios. And they're financed and funded through their grant programs through the OEC. So, and they're able to, we'll go through some of the grants. So as you can see, they offer much of the same services, but those people are highly specialized within that particular vertical market. We're also going after another market called going after the food business. So we're calling them the foodpreneurs. And so anybody who's in the food industry, whether it's cottage business, kitchens where people are starting up and baking and then wanting to expand to full-blown restaurants and catering services, things of that nature. So
What do you think that's gonna?
that has just started, and so classes are being formulated and it will be marketed a little bit more. So if you need more information, let me know. I'm happy to share. Oh, that's wonderful. Good, because we need really good quality childcare. It's really been a problem.
I'm saying the food part.
Oh, the food part, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
We have a lot
but yes,
of
we agree, childcare, but
Yeah,
yeah.
we do have a lot of food-based clients.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really fun. We get benefit from the delicacies when they first mail them to us, so.
And the food market here in the city is starting to, or
Oh.
options are starting to grow. We definitely see more restaurants.
Excellent.
So it's-
Yeah. So we're almost done. I don't want to hold you up too long. In terms of the grants, again, the specifics, I think I've already talked to you about the first two. I mentioned the one that we are piloting. There are many grants related to the childcare business, as you can see, whether it's for an emergency or whether it's just for expansion, things of that nature. And then I wanted to have Susan talk a little bit about another program that we have it's not a grant, but it's with Liberty Bank.
Yeah, we partner with Liberty Bank to offer a class called Academy for Small Business. It is a 10-session class. There's no fee to take the class. But you are, by taking the class, you can apply for a line of credit of up to $5,000. And this is for more for startup businesses, not for more well-established businesses. Usually they say up to like 4 or 5 years. But the 10 sessions is kind of a high-level overview of business concepts. And it's a good class. They're not really required to fulfill any class work. The requirements are primarily your attendance. There are some requirements in terms of your credit score and a couple of other things. And then if they finish the class, they can, if they want to, apply for the line of credit, and that's another way to access capital, but it's considered, they have access to the line of credit for a year and then it rolls over into a term loan.
And you have to set up an account with Liberty
You
Bank.
need a, yeah, that's how they deliver the
Yeah.
funds.
Yeah.
So, yes, but, yeah, the requirements are not that extensive. And it's a good opportunity for people who are just starting up, who may not have, the credit line or access to other capital.
Yeah, in fact, today, I worked with a client because she's not really a startup, but she had kind of let the business. Now she needs to invest in new equipment and some things, and she was looking for a grant. And she didn't really, because she's had the business for 9 years, we could not help her with our particular grants. So I kind of direct her to the Liberty Bank credit line to see if that's an option for her. So it seems to sometimes work for certain needs, for certain people. So ways in which you can partner with us, we're always looking for support, and I'm hoping to, from you all that if there's something that you think we can be doing in terms of our outreach into your community, we would love to hear from you about that. I'm hoping, and we're hoping that you can share a little bit about our resources and with anybody you think would benefit from it, and send them our way. Our office is on Bank Street in New London. We have open hours, drop-in hours, co-working on Wednesdays that Susan oversees. So we have, clients coming in and just sometimes to connect, sometimes to just get out of their own studio or their own small workplace and have a place to come, use the Wi-Fi, have some coffee, do a little work. So it's been a great experience. What's that? A podcast. So we converted the vault into a podcast room,
Which we cleverly call the vault.
We don't use it a lot, but it's available to our clients, and we can rent out the space for them. People have used it. If we're not using it, we use it either as a small conference room or a coat room.
It's also nice and dark, but we do supply 2 nice quality mics and recording equipment, so all you need is an SD card or your laptop if you have your own sound system.
Can you share your contact information, like the details, so that we can create?
Absolutely.
I was gonna create electronic contact, but yeah, that would be great, yeah.
Yes, I'll pass those around. Do you want to?
So I do highly recommend visiting the New London office. I
Yeah,
think they
thanks.
did an amazing job at renovating that former bank into the new office. And they do have a lot of cool things to do there and events that are held there. I did have a few questions. When it comes to someone being a client, what is that process? Because I do believe they actually sign up to a few things online to even get access to some of this stuff, but that's free, right?
Yes, I'm really glad you asked that because becoming a client is fairly simple. All you have to really do is go to our website. There is a button that says, join us or something.
No, we just launched our new
I
website.
know, that's why
And
I'm not sure what.
I'm literally like Friday, it's like brand new.
Yeah, so
But there is a, right at the top of the banner, there's a
call to action to get in there.
create a profile. So you go into our eCenter portal, you create a profile, and then you can, you have immediate access to the e-library, which is on demand. You can register yourself for any live Zoom classes, and you can request an appointment with a business advisor.
Again, all free of charge.
And I'm
So that
looking
part's
for
hopefully pretty easy. Maybe you can speak to that. Was it easy?
I haven't done it.
But now it's on her to-do list.
There you go. Yeah, so it is a fairly easy process and there is no fee or anything associated with becoming a client. You just build that profile and you are then in our system and you can begin to actively engage with us.
mobile version instead.
Okay.
and then we're open to all questions. I do have a few, but I don't want to have, take turns.
Well, I saw you taking notes.
Yeah.
I guess what I was just gonna say, I think you already have a few of our, folks that we've talked about in mind that are, businesses that are kind of in the startup phase where they'd be eligible maybe for launchpad type, grant. And it's certainly an education opportunities.
Definitely, and then on that note, you guys have, so I know the classes go in stages, so you're in the middle of a series right now, then another one starts in July.
Yes,
or-
we have, in terms of those series classes, we run, a few of them 3 times a year. So we've had the first one in spring, we have one running now, for example, the business plan writing class, and there'll be a third in the fall. The marketing classes, I believe, are just twice a year right now, but open to change depending on demand, because they're starting to fill up as well. The ASB.
ASB goes 3 times a year.
3
I
times a
think GPS and BCC may be going 4 times.
They're
a year.
thinking about moving it to a 4th. I don't think they've done it yet.
It's a lot though. It's because GPS, which is the business plan writing class for more established businesses. Or they've been in business. That one is a 9-week, whereas like BCC Business Concept Clinic is 6 or 7 sessions, but it's 2 classes a week, so it's it's only 3 weeks.
Gotcha.
ASB is 10 sessions, but it's only 5 weeks, so it's.
Okay.
But I think the business plan writing class, because there's so much work that they're asked to do, that they need a week to get to it.
They also received software to write the business plan. We get the license for them, so that's built into the fee that they have to pay for the $300. And they then have access, it's a great plan, it's called Live Plan, and they have access to that for the following 6 months, and then they can renew it on their own if they choose. So they're doing everything online, and then the instructor is reviewing and giving feedback, and so it's been a really good process. Yeah.
And because some of the series, like Launchpad is tied to
Launchpad is tied
this, to
to
the grid.
all 3 of those classes. So
Gotcha,
whether it's
okay.
the business concept for brand new, emerging, whether it's the marketing series or the business plan writing series. So
Okay.
all 3 are associated with the Launchpad. And people can select which one they want to take. Oh, that's it, okay.
You mentioned, or I think I just want to speak to the connections that are made at your events. We did have a couple of businesses, and one in particular is Angelina Aesthetics on Thames Street. She became a client, and then she was actually able to meet additional people that work in her shop at these events. So it's just that building the community, the connections that are made there. Wanted to highlight that. And also, you guys do a pitch series, or one of your series allows businesses to pitch to your advisory committee, which I happen to serve on. So it's really nice and refreshing to hear those pitches of the new businesses coming. Is that something that would be, you're looking for more?
Yes, in fact, we have now expanded that. It's across all of our series classes, because the business advisory component, we offer that the second to last session of the series, where we bring in volunteers who are business people across the state who are interested, and we pair them up almost like a speed dating, so that the clients can now pitch their business, because they've been working on whether it's their business plan, their marketing plan, their business concept, and they are getting all that practice, and they're trying to really hone their communication skill as well as their business positioning and their business model. And then they get feedback from our volunteers. And we do that actually on Zoom. It used to be done in person, according to Susan. And because everything's on Zoom, we just put them into the different breakout rooms, and they meet, at least 6 other business advisors and get some feedback. And it has been so well received that that's why we added it to each of those series classes now. So it's a little bit of extra work, because we have to round up enough people and get everybody, you know, so it's a little, but everybody seems to really enjoy it so much, so it's really, and so much value to it. So I'm glad you reminded me of that.
Okay. And I definitely want to bring it up to this group because I thought it would be a good opportunity and a unique way for us to get in front of new businesses. Hear what they have to say, and if it's respectful, actually introduce them to the city of Groton. We know that we have a number of vacancies here, so we would love to see these businesses get established. But this is a way for us to do some of that outreach to that demographic as well. So we will follow up on that discussion. Also, I wanted to just highlight our work with WBDC. So this isn't just a presentation today. We definitely want to keep working with WBDC, have them come in with us, whether it's events. We already talked about the kind of meet and greet that we're looking to do, focus on funding opportunities. So we bring WBDC back. Definitely for that, but just the ongoing communication, especially with our outreach of trying to connect people. They are a resource and are available to us as well as the businesses. So I really want us to start to tap into that use, and they are right across the river. So it makes it even
We travel
more
for
convenient.
No, we're happy to speak and meet with other groups and anybody in your community that you think would benefit. That's pretty much half my role. The other half of my role is the education piece. I'm in charge of the curriculum. Some of it.
Most of your classes are taught by like adjunct from the business community, or is it on all staff or?
It's a lot of our staff. We do use some business volunteers, and it used to primarily be volunteers when we first started, but because of the demand, we are now hiring. Our business advisors will also teach the classes. In a pinch, program managers will teach the classes. When they hired me, my background is in academia. I am a former college professor and department chair for 20 years in the Department of Management at 3 different institutions. So we do work very carefully in creating curriculum that is significant and meaningful to the clients.
We also tap into experts, not local, but experts who can teach to a specific subject, like SEO, you know, any kind of marketing stuff. We have some wonderful volunteers who teach some of these classes, and you know, eventually all of our classes also end up in our e-library, so they're accessible even if you can't attend the class in person on Zoom.
Yeah, and the program managers do have to vet and work with the volunteers in terms of the content, but things like, you know, how to get yourself on LinkedIn, and should I use Shopify versus something else, you know, so some of those classes are taught by people who've been doing that in, you know, the real world for a very long time.
But our staff business advisors are also experts in their fields as well, you know, the financial people. Our QuickBooks Pro advisor who also teaches bookkeeping classes, it's, you know, and she understands tax planning, and then the other financial business advisor who helps people with accessing capital and looking at budgets and understanding their credit scores, and, you know, repairing or building the credit scores. And the general business advising that we have is, you know, when we tell people that our classes that are fee-based are nominal fees, the quality of instruction they're getting versus what they might get elsewhere is much higher, I think. And you know, part of the fee structure is also because we want people to put some skin in the game. We want them to invest in their business. And you know, usually when you pay for something, you're gonna put a little more energy into it.
And few points on the content. I love the content that you guys put together for your courses because it makes it, yes, there's like general, like it's QuickBooks, let's run you through this, but you're mentioning like even LinkedIn. It goes into marketing, it goes into different aspects, it makes it really personal to the businesses, and some things where it's like, oh, I didn't even think about that, or how my personal brand may affect the business brand and how that kind of merges together in one conversation. But you guys do a great job at that. And then I also noticed during COVID, with all the different regulations and laws that were coming out from Hartford, you guys were doing workshops of bringing in experts just to make sure everybody was informed of these are the changes or we're doing temporarily, and you guys just kept that cycle going and continue to do stuff like that. So it's, the content's always fresh, with this group, so.
Yeah, we really do try to, respond to what's working, and then we hear from our clients is what they're, just today, somebody said, we really want a class on business writing for busy small businesses. And so, and as it turned out, one of the women at our networking is just the right person who might be able to teach it. So she and I have a meeting next week, see if that's something that she can put together and that we'll put together for how to quickly write content for your social media, how to generate all these emails and get, something that's going to take away, to allow them to be a little bit more efficient with their time.
But we're also offering classes that are up to the minute, like we did a ChatGPT class.
Yeah,
And
AI, yeah.
all that sort of stuff,
So again, we have the series classes, which are very, structured, and then the 1 hour classes that are very topical and relevant. We try to keep that relevant and fresh.
Any other questions? Okay. I will close out the phone.
I love it.
Everybody knows I have plenty of questions once we get started. You mentioned earlier in regards to grants. Grants are typically only for women. Is that going to be consistent moving into the future? Because sometimes when I'm talking to male people, they're like, well, how do I play into it? And I always mention the education and the funding piece. Depending on the funding source, it kind of filters, but.
It does depend on the funding source. So for example, when the city of New London wanted to do a grant program, they allocated a certain number of dollars would be portioned to male-owned businesses and versus female-owned. That's a discussion that we're having from a strategic standpoint, and I don't know where that's going to land ultimately, but certainly we'll keep you informed, because even when they were interviewing me, they said, well, how can we expand? And I said, give money to guys too.
You're right, ringing the alarm on it.
Give money to the guys.
Support that way.
So we'll see, we'll see what the upper management decides.
But with that, just to follow on, you must have, or do you have relationships with other organizations that are also providing grants that you can sometimes connect people? Well, I heard you talk about Liberty Bank, but connect people to and get them sorted so that if they come, they don't qualify, they can be guided towards another place where they potentially could land.
But there'll be times when, I guess Connecticut Boost is one example.
Well, that's a
where-
loan, those are not grant programs.
Oh, that's the loan,
That's
yes.
a funding.
Yeah, so,
Or even loan programs, but you have.
We hear about stuff, we make, if we know stuff, we make it available. Sometimes if we hear about other grants, we'll send them out in the newsletters. Connecticut Boost, we've been working with them to try to steer people toward that, because it's actually a really great opportunity, and the interest rate is much lower than a standard business loan. So there are things out there. SBA also shares some of this information. Generally, if somebody doesn't share it with us, we don't share it because we don't know about it.
but we're connected with all of the chambers. So for example, Middlesex Chamber reached out to us. They had a grant program that they were trying to promote. And so we were able to then promote that in our outreach and our emails to our clients, so that anybody who is in that particular region. So we do try to, help people, guide them to another resource that if we can't provide. But no real formal partnerships.
And what is your role with the Connecticut Boost program?
We're just sort of passing the word along. I mean, we did have Kenyatta, do you know Kenyatta?
Yeah.
She was sort of the spearhead for the WBDC. She would talk to people and sort of steer them toward the Boost program, but we're just sort of we're just the messenger mostly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cause at some point in time, I thought that WBDC had picked up,
I
like
think
that
there was a
connection
short pilot
point
program that occurred,
Okay.
but I don't think it carried through.
I think when they were pushing it out and there was, I think Canada was like able to help people sort of navigate it, but, it's not our program.
do you happen to have a point of contact for this area, or is it just kind of the generic contact that they give out for the whole
Yeah.
state? Okay.
I don't have a question, but I have a suggestion. That will partner with people. They have a podcast room. You guys are trying to reach out to the community. Our young people here, the numbers here love podcasts. City podcast would be nice, the Groton City podcast. When you interview our leaders, talk about things that are going on. I'm just saying.
Interview with Lee, all right. I will run that by powers that be.
Well, remember we talked about doing 2-minute Tuesdays.
Yeah,
This could would be a nice, partner of that. We never really got that off the ground, but we talked about doing 2-minute Tuesdays with the mayor, to put out information, to the public, but we never got that off the ground.
We also have a business advisor who is their social media and podcasting expert, so she
She could even assist with the production of. If we talk to her.
there you go.
No? Oh, okay. Told you I'm new.
well, we'll circle back and revisit these discussions, and see what that may lead, to. Thank you for that suggestion. Appreciate it. Any other questions for our guests? We are actually doing perfect with time, coming to exactly 7. I don't have any questions.
You know where to find us.
Yes.
Yes, please reach out if you do end up having any other questions and you have our contact, so send people to us and we're happy to help them. They can drop in or they can call.
We're in the office on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, so stop in and say hi.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Pleasure meeting you guys.
Can I get a motion to adjourn?
That's my vice chair.
Stepping up.
One second.
Okay.
Was that somebody Nice. Yeah, so.
I think so.
Yeah, I know, I like that. For the entire day.
Okay.
Yeah, it's.
Check out the website an hour early. QR code on the website, but it should.
Oh,
okay. So about that.
Yeah, no, she.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, we just, that's part of the.
Nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you.
The outreach. and finding out how we use that. That's what's nice about the overnight.
Yeah.
So that's most of the people that take that program come to the meeting. Okay. We don't recruit them. They don't.
Deputy Mayor.
Yes, thank you.
Very nice.
I'm trying to think my friend, like, in Norway, she runs a bakery at her house.
Oh, excellent.
So like noodle
Here.
he won.
That's what he says.
From the past, so she's just
I mean, I
like,
know her best.
did it all herself and like, I don't think she uses Chick-fil-A or anything to make sure stuff.
The public.
We have a lot of clients in that position and they
Right here.
recognize
Yeah.
time to scale.
Great.
Oh.
And